We're on. Hey, everybody. It's Wednesday, April 22nd, 2015. I hope you did your taxes last week. I got so much grief for mentioning taxes last week on the show. Yeah. Because I started off, I didn't tell anybody, and I said, hey, it's tax day. And everyone in the room went, oh. Yeah. Yeah. Then we talked about getting extensions and penalties, and it was great. I got 4 or 5 comments saying I learned more about taxes in 30 seconds on that show. So Frank and I are both owners of businesses, so we're very familiar with the IRS. Yeah. We know how they work. So if you have any other questions, never mind. I'm kidding. Contact Willie Nelson or Wesley Snipes. Right. Yeah. They'll be able to tell you everything you need to do. That's right. And taxes are a federal offense. They're not dismissible in bankruptcy, and you can go to jail for them. Just so you know. Right. But anyway, enough of that shit. Hey, I'm here with my good friends Greg Marra and Frank Falbo. Thanks, guys, for coming. Hey, Greg, good to see you, man.
Thank you.
Frank, it's been like weeks.
It has been.
Where you been?
I've been
making guitars
quite a bit, as well as.
Oh, have you?
Yes.
Oh, very fun.
I've traveled far and wide.
Really? Where? Anywhere fun?
I traveled to Fishman to work on some things.
Fishman? Is that Fishman, Montana?
Fishman Pickups.
Fishman Pickups.
So yeah, I traveled to Boston to work on some of the next up-and-coming things that'll come out in the Fluence line.
Oh, nice.
And then just some other different business maneuvers.
How's things going at Falbo Guitars?
Falbo Guitars, we are making guitars.
You're making guitars?
Yes.
I had fun out there a few weeks ago. That was cool.
Yeah, we need that show.
Frank got a big room.
That's going to be edited. It has to be edited, that show.
Really?
Probably, right? Where's that footage?
What's that?
Remember the...
right.
Oh, that's right. We did it on mine. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll get it to you. Poop, as they say in France.
But, yeah.
And then since we were last here, Greg Marra went and cut a video with the Ventura, with this actual Ventura. So I thought it'd be fun for you guys to talk to Greg, and we can hear what Greg did with the amp, because clearly he plays this amp way differently than I do. For me, it's a Keith Richards amp.
Yeah.
You know, and then Greg takes it and makes it just beg for mercy like the little bitch that it is. And so I thought it'd be really fun. Anyway, let's see. Hoss Thompson, serious question. Oh, okay, everybody look serious for a second. This is my serious. I put my hand on my face like this. Does this look serious to you guys?
Yeah.
I'm serious. Okay. If I were to get a little whiskey, is there any way I could use the same foot switch as the Tupelo? Yeah, sort of. I mean, it's a single foot switch, so if you push it all in and it doesn't work, pull it halfway out and it'll work. Or you can, if you push it all the way in and it doesn't work, reverse the leads on the foot switch jack and it'll work. It's a little bit of a workaround, but no, the Tupelo's a stereo. It's a tip ring sleeve, and then the whiskey's a single. So, you know, if the first ring isn't hitting it, then the second one will, or vice versa. I've never tried it. So worst case scenario is you open up the chassis and you reverse the 2 leads on the foot switch, and then when you stick it all the way in, one of the switches will work on the deal. I meant Little Elvis to switch both. What? I'm sorry. I'm not following Hoss.
So
help me out.
Might that mean that he has 2 amps? He wants to run both amps simultaneously?
Oh, you want to have one foot switch.
Have the channels change?
Yeah, you'd have to make a Y cable with mono on each end.
And then just make sure it's the right.
Right. You'd have to double check and see which one is which every time you plug it in or mark it. But yeah, it's possible. Does your Tupelo foot switch box have the built-in cable, or is it one with the jack?
And 3, 2.
Everybody hold perfectly still, and they'll think the internet's messed up.
Yeah. And it's always the worst facial position.
Yeah.
It's always like, yeah.
It's built in. Okay, well, that's the worst kind. I guess in theory you could just put an adapter on the end of the current one and then run singles off of it.
Yeah.
Or
can't you open those pedals?
You can just do the surgery.
So if you go into the pedal, it's
right.
You're looking at the switch.
If you go open up the pedal, get out your drill, make 2 single holes, and you can have 2 cables, one going to each amp.
Yeah, but But you could still wire it at the end of it, right?
Yeah, you could, or put a stereo jack in it.
Yeah.
Just cut in, which is really, it's 10 minutes of surgery. Yeah, the internet was only frozen on my side of the room. Good point, Matthew.
Yeah, we did not get the joke.
Yeah. And anyway, let's talk about that offline Haas, because we'll get you going on that. It's not a problem. Or you could just order a custom switch. If you get...
yeah, there has to be a million people making, like Loop Master.
Dave Friedman.
Right. There has to be a billion people who will do a 3-pole switch.
But he's in England, so why don't you call John at Peach Guitars and or call over to Guitar UK, and they'll take care of you. They'll get you going.
Yeah, that way if you make a switch with with 2 quarter-inch plugs coming out the back,
right?
It's like you can use any guitar cord you want, any length you want.
That's right.
Just plug it in with a guitar cable into the back of the amp.
The world is your oyster
right.
at that point.
You can have it 5 feet away from the amp that's near you, and if you have the little Elvis somewhere else or whatever.
And off camera today is Miles Rose, so I'm sure we'll give color commentary.
I was battling with AT&T.
Again? Yeah. Oh.
I'm their bane. Yeah, I have fun with them.
He only stays with AT&T so he can fight.
Pretty much.
Otherwise, Verizon or whatever. Well, anyway, so let's get down to serious guitar stuff. Greg, how did you find the Ventura? Let's move this a little.
Well, let's see. Well, Frank had it at his shop.
I know, but I'm so blown away with the sounds you got out of it. You're the first guy I've ever heard to do sort of like heavy sounds with what I consider to be my lightest amp.
Right. Well, it was just the 112 cab, and then what I did was...
That's the one we're playing through right now.
Yeah. I started by just kind of pulling the preamp down, which I would assume is the volume.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then the master, I started like 12, and then I kept backing off as I would increase the master. I would back off the volume or the preamp until I got a sound where
you got a good balance between preamp and power amp distortion.
So my end result was cranking the master, and then I had the preamp at about 9 o'clock.
Right.
And then either the notes would die off quickly.
Right.
So what I did was I put the mini tube screamer in front of the amp.
Yeah, there's only 2 gain stages here, so you're not going to get a lot of the big singy sustain.
But it had the round sound for the chords.
Right.
Which is what I wanted.
Probably a good detail when you're doing minors and 7s and 9s and 13s and all that stuff. Yeah.
So with the mini tube screamer, it was just like minimal.
You choose
very
that as
little
a boost kind of.
Very minimal. Yeah. Put it right in front of the amp.
Now who makes that mini tube screamer? That sounded really good.
That's an Ibanez.
That's an Ibanez.
That's the Ibanez.
Oh, it's a proper Ibanez.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have not seen that before. Is that new?
Yeah, it just came
out. And it's like
it's half space.
You can stick it in your shirt
It's
pocket.
great. Yeah.
Right.
And it does all the things that the original tube screamer.
You could just put it on your guitar strap. Nobody would know. Right?
A necklace if you want.
Yeah. Right. An earring.
Yeah.
And that
purple peaker.
And that recording was great. What was your signal chain?
So basically, it was. I started off with having a condenser mic. I think it was an SM27, and that was just the Apogee Duet preamp, so that I could get like phantom power,
which is surprisingly good, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
great.
For a built-in preamp, it's a little bit, maybe you could argue, sterile.
It's very, very much so.
But it's accurate, and it's got a lot of headroom. Like you can push it without it getting nasty.
Right. So we blended that with an i5. The i5 was like right on. I mean, I tried different volumes, and I found the best volume was cranking the amp, cranking the master, and then putting the i5 at an angle, off pitch.
Now, pardon my ignorance. What's an i5?
Oh, it's the Audix i5. i5.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
It's like the SM57 that Audix makes.
Oh, okay.
And so it's just another utility.
Just a nice little dynamic mic.
Yeah. So that was right on top of the grill, maybe 2 inches from the center, and then from that I went into a Vintech 573 for your, like you would have for your lunchbox.
Right.
So it's like that Vintech does what the 1073 would have done had you had a proper.
That's what
leaf.
we're doing now. We're going through Avitas's little 1073 lunchbox deal, and you're playing through a Royer 122V. So it's a little different signal chain as far as the microphone's concerned, but the rest of it's about the same because we're going into an Apogee Duet, and I've got a little RNC compressor. We're using mostly as a limiter on this end. Over here, there's no compression on the guitar here. We just got a limiter for the the final chain going into the Digi world here, because Digi world doesn't, you know, it sounds great, sounds like ass.
Yeah,
There's no middle ground. It's great ass.
Yeah.
And it's horrible. So we got to put some heavy limiting on it. So that's cool. And then, because I know you came and played it here, and then the recording I made, apparently, we didn't have it really mic'd. We were just using the room mics.
Wasn't this the behind us
Yeah.
couch? We
Well,
just
that's what happened.
So these mics were distorting.
Yeah. But, so the audio that was on the last broadcast was...
My bad.
I think it was just clipping.
Yeah.
To the point where, you know, I'm a perfectionist, so I just chopped that part out and then did a proper, you know...
Yeah.
You know, took like 3-4 hours.
Well, the video is good, and your video editing skills are really good too. It looks really nice.
Thanks. Yeah.
That takes time. I'm learning.
Yeah.
I'm on a scale of 10 on video editing. I'm a 3.5.
Yeah.
Right now, and
YouTube's a big help. There are all kinds of like 11-year-olds that are on there showing you how to do like pro editing.
That's right. Hello, my name's Jimmy. I'm 18 months old, and I've got 4 awards.
Yeah, there's a little Japanese 5-year-old that's
right,
you know,
and they do it like this. You click here and pull this down, do that, and we're like, oh, hey, easy, son.
Right.
Yeah, 12-year-olds on YouTube. You know.
Right.
How do you disassemble a
Oh yeah. You know what though?
Exactly.
That's why we're a successful species. Every generation gets smarter, and I'm definitely on the losing end of that curve right now. It's really good.
I'm not even on the curve anymore.
You're down at the finish line going, hey, welcome home.
On the finish line. I'm on borrowed time.
Oh, stop, Miles. You're not that old. My God. McCartney's older than you. Come on.
Yeah, by what? 6 months?
No. How old are you now?
65.
Oh, he's 8 years older than you. 7 years.
That's nothing. That's a
I don't know, man. I mean, never mind. There's so many bad jokes. Is the Ventura video Greg did online yet? Yeah, it's on Greg's Facebook page. I posted it as well. It's on my Facebook page and the 65 Amps Facebook page.
Thanks for that.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thank you, man. It was really well done. Thanks. And, you know, I think it's really nice for people to understand how well you play guitar.
Thank you.
You know, you do a lot of neat projects where we know Greg's involved in that, but to see you just sit there and you really have a masterful touch. I really enjoy your playing.
Thank you.
It's fun to see. And it's great hearing it through my own gear. Like I say, this is my little honky-tonk Keith Richards amp. I don't think of it as a crunch monster at all.
Amp.
Right, yeah. If I was playing blues harp, I'd bring that amp, you know. And if I've got a Stratocaster and I can show up with this head and a Strat and I'm playing rock and roll, you know.
Yeah.
And throw a little slapback echo on it and I'm a happy guy.
So this amp, you know, with Dave's amp, if you put his Pink Taco 20 watt through a 212, it's a different amp, completely different. And I didn't try it with this, but I wanted to.
This amp loves big cabinets. It actually sounds great through a 412.
Okay.
And when we were building it at the shop, I had an old Marshall cabinet that just sat there, and we played it through that half the time. And you know, through like those old vintage Celestians, it just honked.
Yeah.
You know, it was a really good sound. Well, there's a certain, you know, it's a 6v6 power section, but the front end is a real hybrid. It's got that EF86, and the circuit around that EF86 is pretty close to a Vox AC15, like a 63, 62 Vox.
Yeah.
I mean, really obscure kind of old stuff. Then we just put a 12A-T7 after it for a little more gain to push the phase inverter and the power tubes. So you get a nice blend of like a deluxe that's being pushed really hard.
Yeah.
But then the distortion doesn't go all cattywampus like a deluxe does. Yeah. You know, it just gets odd order, weird stuff. This stays very even order, crunchy, chewy.
Yeah.
So you kind of get the best of both worlds with it. And it was fun. Hey, David Hayes says, let Miles be old if he wants to be. We ain't got many cards we can play. And turning 60, I just got my old guy card I'm going to use. Oh, that's fine.
There you go, Dave.
Just don't bitch about it, all right?
Bitch about it. I love it.
I was going to say, if everyone could have your retirement scheme, Miles goes out with four young girls, lives in a house that he owns, and
you got to earn getting old.
Has zero debt.
You can't cheat. You can't cut in front of the line. And
goes out in downtown LA 4 nights a week with girls under 30 years old. That's retirement.
Well, the reason that young girls go out with people
Because they have a daddy complex?
No,
Right.
you're not threatening. If you try anything,
That's right.
they can just walk away briskly, and you can't keep up.
It would be. It's like when girls go out with gay dudes. They know they're safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. They can just run, and you.
Anything weird in bed, they just roll you over, and your hip breaks. And, you know, I mean, it's no magic.
Oh, there's so many jokes I'm avoiding right
You're a
now.
paper tiger, as they say.
Paper soaked in gasoline, ready to burst. And
Flash paper tiger.
yeah.
That's funny.
No, as a classic example, the other night I was out with
Oh God, here we go.
and she ended up getting in a big discussion with Dan about, there was a whole thing about hair. She was trying to get her hair ready for a thing. I mentioned something about Dan's hair, and that's where the conversation went. Kind of left me in the dust.
Right.
So, on to more interesting subjects. Hoss Thompson says, "Oh, and Jax is in Vegas in September and wants to play golf." Hell yeah, I'm up for it, Hoss. That's my other neurosis, for those of you that don't know me, is hitting a little white golf ball. I'm not really a golf culture guy, like cocktails, mulligan, that kind of thing. But I just love the physics of smashing a ball and making it fly somewhere. It's like the primal hunter thing, hitting your target. I don't know what it is. But anyway, so you want to run us through like what you found to be your sweet spots on the
Sure.
Ventura, Greg? And,
Yeah, I don't know how it's going to change what we're doing here for the show, but
well, tell us also, like we talked about last time, but for the guys that weren't here, tell us about the guitar that you're playing.
yeah, definitely. Well, this is a 2015 Ibanez Prestige. So originally had different pickups in it that were okay, but we have the Fishman Fluence installed now.
Right. It's a beautiful piece of wood.
Yeah.
And you can tell this is like they're high-end skilled guys. This is not a machine-made guitar.
You feel it too.
Yeah.
You feel it with the dressing on the side of the fret, and
Yeah.
it's just everything kind of stays where you put
It's
it.
not one of those CNC cut cookie cutter guitars.
No,
It's
I don't
it's
think
really
so.
a beautiful piece of wood too.
Yeah, and the pickups make it come to life, I think, too. Having all the different voicings in there, the two voices. It's just awesome to have that, as opposed to, maybe something that doesn't have as much output in the bridge. I always have that problem when I get, something that's, let's say, off the shelf. You can buy this guitar off the shelf.
Yeah.
And the very first thing I always do, no matter what pickup it is I'm shopping for a new pickup.
I always strip
Bridge.
my guitars.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
put caps and pots in, and I redo the nut, and
Yeah.
have Frank help me get it playing right.
Yeah,
and-
yeah. Frank did that to this. I got the bridge where I wanted it, and then I don't think we did any adjustment on the neck for the truss rod or anything. I think it just was a little high at the nut, so we kind of did the nut slot trick.
Yeah.
And it's ready to go. I mean, I've got to travel with this guitar in a month, so I'm kind of tripping out on the fact that I've got to put it on a plane. And do I take the hard shell case? Do I put it in one of the Reunion Blues bags?
Right.
So I'm kind of in that place where it's like, I got to travel with it. So, and it's perfect now. Is it going to change going back to like East Coast climate where there's like
right, humidity
mad
and
humidity
temperature, yeah.
So, but
Well, it will a little bit, but it looks like it's a poly finish on there, and that kind of minimizes the expansion and contraction with humidity and stuff. Because as pretty as nitro guitars are, they do absorb a lot of moisture, and they do dry out also. Like I've done that, like playing Seattle and then drive and playing Phoenix. It's like boing, like whoa, what happened? It's just crazy. GHS Strings, hey John, how are you? He'd vote Reunion Blues. Okay. Rob Taylor has a Ibanez Arcor. All right, so the other thing, so we've talked about it before. Tell us about the Fishman pickups. And Frank, jump in here since
Yeah,
you
Frank, jump in.
were
I
you
can
were part
only
of the
talk,
design process.
Yeah, I can talk based on what it's, what it is like to play with these pickups.
Yeah.
It's
but as far
groovy.
as like you
That's
get into
all, that's all anybody cares
the 48 layers of
Yeah.
love, maybe you want to take
Well,
it. from
it's a different schema of pickup. It's not a magnet slug with a bunch of wire wrapped around it.
Right. I mean, yeah. The quickest explanation is it just blows. It blows the doors off of old manufacturing and pickup making techniques. It takes a new, different look at it to try to come up with. I mean, it's just all the rules are broken, but all in the right direction. You know.
So if I can translate, if you were born in the 60s, that means it's groovy. If you were born in the 70s, that means it's hip.
Right.
If you're born in the 80s, that means it was rad.
Yeah. Or awesome.
And awesome. If you're born in the 90s, it's dope.
It's dope.
Yeah.
And if you're born after that, you can't afford it.
It's fat with a pH.
Yeah, it's pretty hot and tempting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
I've talked about this enough times in the past, but it's all the stuff that you like. That's all the stuff that got better.
It's everything good and nothing bad.
It really is. It's all that can sound like marketing, but there are literally very universal things that we think are better. You know,
right.
Most of the time, if you have really oily, grungy strings, you think a string change is better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's very universal things. And
right.
so when it comes to like,
if you have a cold,
if you have
when
a
you
cold,
heal up,
yes.
you're generally better.
It's better, right?
Right.
The right tube in an amp.
If you're listening to Justin Bieber
the wrong tube.
and it ends,
yeah. Most of the time we like properly biased amplifiers.
Yes.
We don't like amps that are thrown way out of bias.
Right.
So this
Unless
thing
you like
brings
hum.
all that stuff into alignment. So whether it's targeting a classic like PAF type of sound or a hot rodded JB kind of sound or even like the EMG metal-y kinds of sounds,
Yeah.
whatever sound that they're targeting, that I want to make with the Fluence pickups, whenever we go in for a voicing session, it's like I'm getting that and I'm getting the best version that you ever heard of that, plus the pixie dust on top of it that we don't even realize, which is phase alignment and all these things that make the sound get through the gain stage and out the speaker cabinet in a more intact, more pleasing way. It's not about an EQ curve at that point.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the delivery.
Well, I say the same thing about amps. I think often what makes an amp appealing to someone is that what's coming out of it is easy for your brain to process. Because there's not things in there that it's like if you're on a cloudy, foggy day, I can still see down the road, but my brain has to make some assumptions. I know that building has a corner, but I can't see it.
Right.
Or whatever. But it's easier on a clear day for you to see everything. It's easier for your brain to process.
Yeah.
So same thing with sound. If there's less artifacts and strangeness around there, it's easier for your brain to focus on the musical frequency.
Absolutely.
And that's what phase linearity does, that people don't even realize it.
Right.
I mean, it's like, I have this mic, it sounds great. I got this mic, it sounds really great too.
Put them together?
If I put them together,
it sounds like this.
Right. Why is this happening,
Yeah.
And it's like, I like this mic here and I like this mic over here.
Right.
Well, great, but if you didn't time align those in post, you know what I mean? And maybe you don't have to.
Or you just got to sit there with headphones knocking mics around until you get it. Yeah.
Right. That's another way to do it.
But you have to know what that is first.
Right.
Before you can actually do it.
If you do know what it is, it cuts down the time greatly. Because you know exactly where to go and what to get.
I just figured out what's wrong. I didn't turn on that light. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, anyway, Greg, play some guitar for us on your Ibanez Monster.
Should have warmed up.
No pedal. He's plugged right into the... No pedal at all.
Yeah.
Willie says, if you make your products too clear, you'll hear all my clams. Well, that'll just make you play better, Willie.
No, and it's not true. Your clams will come through cleaner.
They'll smell
and
more like
better.
seafood.
They'll sound better. So it's actually not. It's not true.
Frank, can you talk a little bit on what's the output of those pickups?
They live within the range of where their target pickups are, right? So if I say, like in his guitar, when the knob is down, it's voice 2. So I think the standard wiring, if you look at the standard wiring, it's like, okay, voice 1 is when the push pull is down, and then you pull it up and it gets louder.
Because to me it sounds like it's about equivalent to about a 10 or 11K pickup.
Yeah, it depends.
Somewhere in there when it's in the hot mode.
Right.
Yeah, and then when it's off, it sounds more like about a 8 to 9.
Right. So what we did is, like, if you go to the neck pickup and you take voice 1, which is up for you, that's like a
not as hot.
Right. That's kind of like lives in vintage PAF territory.
Right.
But what it has, like, if you're doing,
you do that same, do the same lick.
the two sounds don't have to be related to one another because these coils are so clean and pure that I can make the second voice be anything, right? So in the neck position, it's got more low mids, but it's also got more top end. You know, you can't wind a pickup to get there. That's what I tell people.
Unless you have, like, you know, snap and pop pickups. So
yeah.
Like, well, put a different pickup in.
As far as changing it goes, is true.
With the plastic guitar.
Right.
Yeah, that was a huge hit.
But what I mean is, I can't wind a pickup to have more low mids and get the top end at the same time.
That's right.
If I try to shift something one way,
it's a
something
balance.
else moves. Yeah,
you do everything at the expense of something else. Right.
So when it's in voice 1 in the neck, I've got that sweet sort of vintage Alnico 2 Seth Lover-ish PAF voice. I've got it in an underwound tonal palette where you get that brilliance and you get all this stuff, but I have it at the output level of like a little meteor PAF.
Right.
Like, you can't get those two things to happen at once.
Right.
I can't get all the glory of a PAF wound to 6.9 or 7.2.
Right.
And have the output level where it is
at
if it's at
10.
If it's at, or even just at a neck pickup if it's at 8. You know?
Yeah, sure.
So this way,
there's a question.
I don't have any. I have no limits, right?
Fibered Bob says, can those parameters be changed?
Well, we make the pickups and then we sell the pickups, right? So in the field, when you're installing the pickup, there are a couple of things that can be done. You've got voice 1 and voice 2.
Right.
And then there's also a high frequency tilt that's not on in this guitar. But if you were the kind of person who likes 20 feet of cable and you like what that does to a vintage
little
pickup,
capacitance in there.
right?
Yeah.
Then you're going to put the high frequency tilt on. If you're not, then you're going to leave it off. Or you can hook that up to your 5 or 3-way.
Or for those guys that think a curly chord is going to make them sound like Hendrix.
Right. You can take the our Strat pickups. And run it with the high frequency tilt on.
Right.
In voice 1.
Right.
And you'll be there. You know, you'll have that high frequency response that Hendrix had with a long chord, right? But you'll still have all the punch and detail of these pickups.
Right.
So right now, the things I'm describing are part of how a pickup is developed, and you're going to get 2 sounds with each pickup.
Right.
You're going to decide between voice 1 and voice 2.
So you really got like 4 pickups in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but as far as can they be changed in real time, no, we design it and then make the pickup. It would be like if I said, can I take this amp and then
make it a Marshall.
Make it a Marshall or make it have 6L6s. Like, no, you can't. But these pickups are kind of like if I gave you 2 different power sections in the amp.
Yeah, I gotcha.
I can do 6V6, EL34,
Sounds
EL84.
great. Well, everything I've heard that you've brought over so far has just been fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, and these sound amazing. I love the single coils.
Yeah.
Then again, if I were to play his guitar right now, it would really sound crappy.
Right. There is the element of
their accuracy. Yeah, there is accuracy to these pickups that.
Yes.
That.
Right. These pickups make you sound more like you, and I can't give you a money back refund if that's.
Wait a minute, they don't make you sound like Jimmy Page or Eddie Van Halen or.
It is part of the signal chain here. You know?
Right.
Yeah, there's what does Taylor call it? Bone tone, right? Yeah. There is 51% of any guitar tone is the guy.
Right.
But however, without the other 49%, it's lacking, right? So, man, there's just like noise going on.
Yeah, somebody's delivering a refrigerator outside.
Yeah, or they're breaking in. One of the two.
Breaking into my car right now.
Exactly.
Your car.
My car.
You drove.
Or my car.
Oh, it's fine.
No problem then. Yeah,
Your car.
it's all good.
It's no good.
There's nothing in my car.
Haas hydro spanners. Yeah, that's Lubial nappers or whatever.
Well, spanner is a wrench in Britain.
Yeah, we use I have Chewy toss me the tool that I need.
Yeah. I remember when I moved to England, one of my neighbors came over and asked if I had spanners. And I went, huh?
Yeah, what?
Spanners. I was imagining something that would spread things.
Right,
you know?
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, right, yeah, fucking wrench. Do you got any wrenches? I said, no, I don't.
Imperial. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
So,
well, that's cool, man. That guitar sounds great.
Yeah.
Now, you want to do some clean stuff?
Sure.
So, like, I'll put you sort of on the edge of the tube here.
This is voice 1,
right?
Which is not as hot.
Right. And you're in the middle position.
Yeah, middle. Right. So that does the same thing as any humbucking set would do. It just splits each.
Right.
So you're going to have a little bit of texture on top with your right hand. I got you right on the edge of the tube, so you can push it into a little just dirt, or you can lay back and get very articulate cleans.
Here's the thing, since these are low impedance coming out the other side, when you turn the guitar's volume down, there's no need for a treble bleed cap or anything like that.
Right.
The tone really remains intact. So if you want to clean up, I mean, it's a great pickup set for cleaning up, because you back the volume down and you don't just have like all the frequency content. There's this density to the sound that remains. It's just
it doesn't get neutered.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because even like I'm not trying to talk bad about whatever, but an EMG type or a Duncan Blackout type or something like that, these active pickups that are really big and thick and full and huge sounding, even though they don't suffer frequency content loss per se when you turn the volume down, they for me personally,
they lose dynamics.
They get really plasticky and they lose dynamics when you turn the volume
down. You just don't turn those pickups down.
You just don't. You leave them on all the way. And so with this, you get that. You recover use of your volume knob. You don't have to put a treble bleed cap in there, which makes it a little artificial. So anyway, so mess around with that, and you'll hear, when you go control drive.
So I'll ride it here just to make sure. I know you can't hear it very well.
Bridge, which is, sort of at 50%. Even at like sort of 25%.
If you just listen to that sound, you would never know that volume is on 3 or 4. You would think you had a guitar that was all the way up, and you were doing it here at the amp.
Yeah.
But now if you just leave everything the way it is, and bring this all the way up and show where you
go. It's a great rhythm sound. I hear it great. You can hear you're right on the edge of the tube there. It's like a Van Halen rhythm sound almost. I was listening to isolated guitar tracks off early Van Halen stuff recently. And I was astonished at how clean it is.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just not that dirty. I mean, certain songs are, but they were playing Hot for Teacher.
Right.
The ISO track this morning on 106.
Yeah.
And even the solo.
Yeah.
It's just not that dirty. Mm-hmm. And then the rhythm parts, the ba-doom, down, 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 it was just sounded just like what you were doing, Yeah. Just like that. Nobody can do David Lee Roth.
No, but it was
not even David Lee Roth.
More intelligible than what I've heard him sing.
Yeah. Well, back then he was incredible, but man, he painted himself into a corner with those vocals because he could barely do it when he was 24.
Right.
And it was, unless they tune down to C sharp now or something.
No, they don't. Let's get some neck pickup.
Yeah, give us a little. Somebody's.
Deeper low mids plus some top end.
Sounds
if you go to
great.
voice 1, it's a little rounder.
Right.
Yeah. And that's full on. That's 100%.
I don't feel tardy. They're quoting lines from Hot for Teacher. That's the best line in the whole song, though, I think. I don't feel tardy. I brought my pencil. So a couple questions here. We have a set of Fishmans for the telly anytime soon.
Well, as I said, I just recently traveled to Andover to work with Fishman.
I've been to the mountain.
And it is, it's amazing. If you guys don't...
Is that a yes?
Yeah, if you guys know who Greg... it's a soft yes, but yeah. You know who Greg Koch is? He's a monster player, and maybe a monster because he's about 7'4".
Wow.
No, he's tall though.
Is that metric? Or?
Yeah. He's you really never get bored watching him play.
No. Or talk.
Right.
Yeah. Or speak.
And so he was highly satisfied by the time we left that building.
That's cool. And a couple guys are asking for some neck pickup stuff.
Yeah, so we just kind of messed around with it.
So like a clean, this is voice 2.
We should put echo on this. It would just be because we got a pretty good sound dial.
Same stuff, voice 1.
So voice 1, 100%.
Sure. That's a different grade.
Total like Steely sound.
Yep. And what's worth pointing out is this is a 24-fret guitar. So neck pickups can sound
a little
less
closer.
necky.
Right.
And these things kill. This neck pickup kills in a 24-fret guitar.
Right.
It's no less great in a 22, but I'm saying it translates because all that detail is in there.
Man, it sounds
like
amazing.
I think it's great.
I've got a new video coming out with this on a lot of sort of like switching between bridge voice 2 and neck voice 2. And you can really hear the neck come alive.
Yeah.
With this melody that I'm playing up high. So
Nice.
yeah.
That's cool. And then let's go back into, crazy world. Let's just push this thing and see what happens. Now the preamp is wide open. Damn.
That's the test. If you can play while
Someone's nudging you.
Yeah.
Hey.
Your little brother's poking at you.
So, if you buy a Ventura and Fishman pickups,
you'll sound exactly like this.
you'll be able to do
You'll
those
be able to do
licks.
exactly this.
And you'll sound like Hendrix.
Right.
I'm just saying. And if you spend an extra $25, Jimmy Page.
Right.
I'm just saying.
Right.
Matthew Moran says, I think I'm seeing a new YouTube series. Just saying. Yeah, I agree.
Could be.
So one of the things, Matthew has another show called Tips, Tools, and Breaking All the Rules, and he's sort of an internet marketing guy. And one of the things, we had lunch last week down on Olvera Street, which was unbelievably good. And one of the things he thought, we had this discussion that, guys like us that have been playing guitar for decades, we take a lot of things for granted that a lot of people don't quite understand. Like, for example, what we're just doing right now, that, you know, if you have a guitar with multiple pickups, you have a lot of vocabulary in there that I think a lot of people search for outboard gear to get.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can, you know, like my version of Jimmy Page is lower output PAFs in the middle position with the neck pickup rolled back to about 7. Then you get that thing. There's just that thing right there. And there's all these little things, and guys go out and buy gear specifically to sound like Page, to get that sort of clangy rhythm sound that he got, that's dirty and clean at the same time.
Right.
And you don't realize that if you have any 2 humbucker guitar, you can kind of find it.
Yeah.
You know, it's in there. Or, you know, like with Strats, just all the different things you can do on every position.
Yeah.
And a lot of people make a lot of assumptions about, like, certain Strat player being in number 4 or number 2 on the neck, when in fact he wasn't. He might have been in number 3, but he's playing it up on the fretboard, which makes it sound kind of necky, you know, and more noodly sounding versus picking down by the bridge. Or vice versa, being on the neck pickup and picking down at the bridge has its own sound.
Yes.
And guys will go out and spend hundreds of dollars on a pickup set to get a sound that they might already have. And so Matthew and I were talking about doing a series of sort of like 10-minute, you know, tips, for lack of a better word, of some sort of, like, today we're going to go through everything that's in a Telecaster. Like, most people think of it, oh, a Telecaster, it's a country guitar.
No.
Have you listened to Led Zeppelin?
Right. Or Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
Tom Morello only ever really played a Tele.
And
Roy Buchanan
yeah,
made a Tele sound like any other guitar.
But like a nice Tele pickup through a Marshall is incredible.
Yes.
You know, just nuts. And at the same time, you can make a neck pickup Les Paul sound really country if you want to. So we were thinking about maybe having little segments of like basics, you know, from sort of pros, you know, of here's things you may not know you already own.
You know, and depending on the gig,
That's a great idea.
whether it's, you know, whether you got to cobble together something. I mean, I played a week ago. I rushed in to play, no practice, nothing. We just showed up. There's a Line 6 floorboard.
What are you gonna do?
And I had like 2 or 3 of my own pedals that I brought. A couple of little boosty, drivey things, you know.
Right.
And the Line 6 was like, I couldn't get. It's not intuitive to program it. Okay.
No.
It's not an Apple product.
Right.
And it's like, you know what?
Hidden knobs to press to save things.
So you get to this point and you're like, you know what? Tweed amp. I'm going to do what I need to do with these things, and I'm going to work the volume knobs.
Right.
Yeah.
But you've seen me play elsewhere with a gigantic pedal board.
Oh, yeah.
With every
you got a pedal board as big as a sofa.
Right.
Yeah.
All this mad scientist stuff. So the point I'm making is when you show up for a gig, you're always in problem-solving mode. It's how do I get there from here?
Or you just got the wrong guitar on for the song, and you got to make it work.
How do I get there from where I am right now?
It's like,
I thought there was going to be this mic. There's a 57 hanging on the front of my amp.
Yeah.
Well, the last
swinging down.
Last
from the
gig that
mic
I
cable,
did, I forgot to bring a Les Paul, and we're playing Rock and Roll by Zeppelin, and I'm holding a Strat.
Right. Okay. How do I get there from here?
I put it in the number 3 position, and I hit the hell out of it up here towards the neck.
Right.
And it's going to sound a little bit more like a humbucker than if you're picking back here and getting twangy.
Right, and these are tricks, you're right, people don't know, especially nowadays, everything is instantly accessible, including with the Line 6 methodology, which is just like, well, I'm just going to set it to Van Halen today, and then I'm going to I'm just going to press Jimmy Page button there, and I'm going to press this one, because I saw on the internet that's program 46. Right.
Yeah.
But what do you do if you got to plug in?
But you've lost something there, haven't you? You've lost the art of
the inventiveness, the
creative part of it.
On the fly, just coming up like my neck pickup just went out. My guitar has no neck pickup. Oh my gosh, my 3-way switch just went out.
I used to gig with the Junior all the time, and I could do anything with that guitar. I mean, you roll the volume down to 5 and pick at the bridge, it's a Telecaster.
Right.
You know, I mean, you can do, and if you wide open, that pickup's hot enough that you can. How do I make my acoustic guitar sound crunchy and distorted with no amplifier? Line 6.
How do I make my acoustic guitar sound crunchy and distorted with no amplifier? I think it has to do with the things when we were kids and we put like you put baseball cards in the spokes of the bicycle, right?
Put them on the fretboard.
Yeah, I think if you take a kazoo or whatever, you take tissue paper and lace it in between the strings, your acoustic guitar,
or just put it over the sound hole.
It will sound crunchy and distorted with no amplifier. Done. Next difficult question. Try again.
Yeah, there's many ways.
Try to stump fight.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I overheard someone at a show refer to the modeling amp as that a ripped speaker cone sim.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're doing the Davies.
Well, you know,
the speaker.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay,
That.
so we got to be fair, though. You know, for a lot of guys that don't have the time and the resources to go through what we went through as kids when we had the time, and parents who were nice enough to tolerate us, it's a great way for them to play and have fun. It's like I'm never going to drive a Formula One car, but it's kind of fun on the PlayStation.
Right. And the truth is, even if you only have a Line 6 piece of gear, you can still exercise your brain because there's all those parameters.
But you're exposing people because, like you and I, like I can ask you, I know you have probably, but you talk to most guitar players, even guys my age. Have you ever played a 1969 100-watt Marshall in person?
Probably not.
99% of people never have.
Right.
And so all they know are recordings of it.
Right.
And which is not accurate at all. It's not what it's like to be in the room with that amp. Have you ever played a JMI AC30? No. I've played the reissue. Well, that's not even close. Right. Have you ever played a JTM 45? That's even less. Of people who've played real have you ever played a 59 Bassman? A good one that's working right. Most guys never have. So when you got these things, you get exposed to it. It's fun. I don't want to sound like we're shitting on those things, but if you're out making your living playing guitar, it is kind of a blow-up sex doll. It's still fun, but it's not the real thing.
If you want to go play all of those in one location, go to Carl Bryan's house.
Oh yeah, I'm not.
Carl,
sure
we're on the way over. What's his address? Tell us right now on the air. Yeah,
but hopefully he'll let you in.
Well, I mean, I in 1997 when the Flex Tone came out, I was living in a really small apartment in Toluca Lake, and I had a 100-watt Marshall. I couldn't even turn it on.
Right.
And I literally couldn't crack the volume knob before my neighbors were pounding on the wall.
Right.
And so I went into Guitar Center for strings or a chord or something, and the kid with a ring in his nose, hey, bro, and I played it, and I go, oh, that's not bad. And it was like $500. Right. I went, yeah, what the hell?
Right.
And then I could sit there and play in my house. And I've played all those good amps. I've just been fortunate. It's not like I sought them out or I'm special. It's just my pathway through the music world. I've been fortunate to play really prime examples of good amps. And I played this thing that sounds absolutely nothing like a Fender, but it sounds good. I can play it. It's fine. And I could sit there and practice in my house.
Yep.
And or I could turn on the stereo and play along with it without pissing off my neighbors. So they're very useful and they're fun. I don't want you to sound like we're looking down our nose at them.
Actually,
but you're just not going to get all the way there with it.
Just go to one of Carl's shows like the Baked Potato.
Yes.
He'll use all of those amps in his little rig. It's just that he uses 2 12 cabs instead of 4 12 cabs at the Baked Potato.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, Randy says I have a Flex Tone 3 that I use for teaching, some recording and live when I'm uncertain.
Great.
Yeah, they work. And I've done, like you go to the rent a rehearsal space and you're not taking your own gear.
Yep.
And there's one of those Line 6 heads there.
Great.
I can get a workable sound out of it.
Right.
It's not like it offends me or anything, but it's definitely not.
Yeah.
It's a little Chef Boyardee versus going to the Italian restaurant.
That it is. Oh, speaking of which, I'm starving.
You're starving. Well, we can wrap it up here pretty soon, actually.
Yeah, we have to.
Because you guys are going to go to Taste Chicago, right?
Yeah.
Because I've actually got some stuff I can use. I was going to feel bad because I still got to pick up my kids and everything, but at least you got Miles who will let you eat the food you want to eat, whereas I don't anymore.
Right.
So
The food you want it?
he wants to eat Taste Chicago every time I'm here, but since I'm trying to be healthy.
Right.
No, I know.
He means his schedule dictates that he has to eat close by. The Chicago restaurant, for those of you who don't know, is about 10 minutes away.
It's in Chicago.
It's 10 minutes away, but the food takes a while.
Yeah. That's
if you want to order a pie, it takes almost a half hour.
Yeah.
So, But, summer is just around the corner, which means I won't have this hard cutoff like I have now. And then both my kids are be in middle school next year, which gives me an extra half hour.
All right.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah.
And the middle school is like you can throw a stone and hit the back window.
Oh, nice.
Right from the back of our house, so that'll be nice.
Yeah, that's
frees you up.
Yeah, my kids get out at 3:05.
Yeah.
Now.
Good.
What tube is in the Elvis Tremolo? That's a 12AX7.
It makes a big difference if you have a weak tube or a strong tube.
Yeah, that's a tube bias tremolo. So if the tube's not happy, it'll be reflected in the tremolo.
You might think your tremolo's broken.
Really? So like a clicky tremolo then?
No, they can get thumpy, or there's no range.
Okay.
Like you turn it up to 3 and it's barely on, and then on 5 it's all the way on.
Okay.
Because that's one of the downsides of a tube tremolo. But for me, the sound quality is so good that it's just kind of worth
If you have a
it.
tube that meets spec,
Yeah.
it works wonderful.
Sure.
Right.
But as we know, tubes sometimes don't travel. Tubes can be good one day and bad the next, and then good the day after that. So depending on
NOS tubes, and then they actually do travel well.
Yeah, well, those are real tubes, modern tube bonitos. Well, I think maybe we should all stare at Greg and put a lot of pressure on him to play guitar wonderfully like he does. And are you going to take us down to Ranchland?
Yeah, why not?
I know Frank's always down in C sharp or D here, so.
Great sign out.
Woo!
Yeah.
Keep going. You want to hear it? Would it be better?
Great in the room, man.
Oh, okay. Wow. Very nice. Greg Marra, everybody. How fun. Well, I think that's a nice note to go ahead and end on so we can get out of here at a reasonable time. And I will give you this video footage too.
Thanks.
Yeah. And they put it in a drop folder for me right after the show, and then I have to download it, but I'll send it to you. And thanks to Frank Falbo for coming again. Greg, always a pleasure.
Thank you, Dan.
And we come back soon, and we try some other amps if
Definitely.
you want.
Absolutely.
I'd like to run you through our new little whiskey sometime and see what you think of that.
Yeah, definitely.
And I've got one back there, and I've been playing it so much it's already time for a new set of EL84s. And I've got the tube sitting there waiting for it. So we'll do that. Dave Keene says, nice one, nice one. See you guys later. Yeah. Thank you. And next week, there's nothing incredible planned. Phil X might be coming back. And maybe I can con these guys into coming back again. It's a big drive. I appreciate you guys driving in. I know it's
You're always welcome to come up to Falbo headquarters.
I know. Well, do you have like broadcasting rig happening?
We'll get it going.
Okay. Let's do that again. You know what I think we need to do? I need to find one or rent one as a wireless webcam.
Oh, yeah.
Where we can walk around the shop.
Yeah.
And I know they exist. They're just a little out of my budget right now. They're about $500 for a good one.
His helmet cam?
Yeah, well, if I could figure a way to get my GoPro to stream, you know, because the GoPro, I almost saw it today. I almost brought it, and I was just going to set it right next to this camera.
Yeah.
And then during editing, use that footage and this audio.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
You know, which I think I might start doing because I'm getting a little more proficient editing. It's just so much time to do that.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I have a decent, you know, it's like an i7 with 16 gig of RAM, and it's still like bloop, bloop, bloop.
But there are tricks to it too. You can kind of trick it into, you know, leaving the files where they are as opposed to having them proxy onto your native drive. So
well, that's what I do. I have an external drive that's FireWire 800 that's really fast, and if I store everything there, and then the what do you call it? The scratch files, for lack of a better term, definitely speeds it up and makes it better, so that my actual machine is not worrying managing.
There are people that's their whole line of work because it takes so long.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
And it takes
it's a whole job.
Right. It takes a lot of focus and a lot of time. Well, anyway,
Do this on the side. No, not really.
work-related tardiness. I don't feel tardy.
Right. Which he has no idea because he's late. So.
Right. It's a joke. You'll have to watch the recording. Phil, we're sorry you weren't here. It's always good to have you here. Thank you, Reverend Randy. Thank you, Haas. Tell Jax I'm always up for a round of golf if he's out here in the Wild West. All the courses are going to be playing really long this summer because we don't have any water. Ball's going to roll.
Yeah, someone posted a gigantic slip and slide on Facebook. Like, would you do this? It was a huge one down a giant hill.
Yeah.
And I forget what I said, but I said something like, yeah, but in California, it would be like a squeak and burn.
it would be an abrasion, a slip and abrasion.
Right.
Well, golf courses use mostly reclaimed water, but there's not even much of that around right now.
Reclaimed water either anymore.
Yeah. All right. Way to end on a down note. Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah. Congratulations, everyone. You all have plenty of water.
Danny Downer. Anyway, again, all right, thank you, fellas. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Miles. Always good to have you here. And we'll see you fellas next week, and I'll try to get this show up relatively quickly. So on that bombshell, we're going to say good afternoon. Greg, your clips kicked ass today on Facebook. That's all Itchy Bro's saying. Anyway, love you fellas. Talk soon. Take care. Bye-bye.